On Friday, Aether Studios had one of the biggest announcements they could have possibly made. Off-Brand Games will be publishing Rivals 2. The video title isn't clickbait, I fully believe this, and the rest of the video is just gonna be me explaining why I think this is true. The two biggest reasons I'm making this are, one, a lot of people just totally missed this announcement, and two, a lot of people don't understand why this is huge.
Our first game is really fucking fire. I'm pumped to announce this. Rivals 2, baby. Let's go! If you haven't tried Rivals 2 in the beta yet, it is a very fucking fun game. I'm saying that because I am a guy who loves platform fighters, and I cannot think of a more fun platform fighter that I've played that's come out in the past few years.
So, to the first point, yeah, it's not a new character, it's not a release date, it's not guest IP, it wasn't even a tournament. If you're not super plugged into the games industry as a whole, or aren't following a bunch of Rivals accounts on social media, you could have totally missed this one. And for point number two, and what I'll be talking about for most of this video, this is so much bigger than most people realize. Alright, the history and backstory, or the stuff you need to know to understand the news. Game publishers are different than game devs. Publishers don't make the games, they do the stuff like marketing, financing, business strategy, distribution rights, getting games on multiple consoles and platforms, etc. Basically the money and get the people to actually play the game advertising side of things. And the Rivals team was shopping around for a publisher for a long time, like years at this point. In their Kickstarter, they mentioned explicitly that it'd been over 3 years of searching, and that they had to scale back on their goals because they couldn't find one they were happy with. Rivals 1 was self-published because they didn't have a larger company helping them out. And Rivals 2, up until this week, was going to be the same way. They looked for a publisher, but the Rivals team said that everyone they talked to either wasn't interested, the partnership didn't make sense for the team, or they wanted some amount of control the Aether team wasn't really willing to give. And we don't know what that control was. It could have been how DLC was sold, or requesting dev changes for marketing reasons, creative decisions, who knows. If you've heard some of the horror stories of large, major publishers, it usually comes down to that kind of thing. We shoehorned in a paid battle pass on top of a $70 game, or this single-player game was turned into a games-as-service model title that dropped support after 6 months. That kind of thing is almost always because a large publisher is trying to squeeze out as much money as possible instead of letting the devs make a great game. Not all publishers are bad, but when you look at some of this year's layoff numbers, yeah. And that's why we had the initial Kickstarter. The Aether team needed funding to get the game across the finish line, and they couldn't find a publisher to help out because they weren't willing to compromise on making the game they wanted to make. They were more than willing to go solo rather than give up creative control. So Aether Studios being excited to team up with Off-Brand Games means that they're comfortable with what this partnership would mean for them. And that should be incredibly exciting for you too. What does this actually mean for the game though? Like, asking why is a super valid question right now. Well, at its simplest, the Aether team now has financial backing in more areas. This could mean the ability to hire more devs to free people up to work on further aspects of the game. Maybe those Kickstarter stretch goals like tutorials or story mode could come sooner. Potentially, this could mean getting on consoles and keeping those consoles updated quicker than expected. They should have more freedom to experiment on stuff without worrying about next week's finance goals. But also, they just have more support on the marketing front now.
I think the dream is that the developer can just focus on making the best game possible with all their time and resources, that I can, hopefully show as many people what the cool game they made is.
This doesn't mean losing the community director Edelis, the person, not the bear, or SBS on the esports front, but instead they'll have way more support in doing promotion, working with larger creators for advertising. You know those moveset posts they've been doing? Expect way more of that kind of stuff in the future. Things to bring in new players or even just get old fans excited again. And Off-Brand actually has a history of this with the Rivals team themselves already. The Kickstarter was led by Off-Brand Studios. They were contracted to build the campaign. That's probably where the publishing partnership even became an idea in the first place. You know how there's been way more video ads, social media campaigns, the Kickstarter launch Ludwig event, that kind of thing? The advertising that raised over $1 million on a $200,000 initial goal? Yeah, now they'll be able to do that over the entire lifespan of Rivals 2, and they'll be helping with all of the marketing. This could be huge in helping solve the casual gamers are turned off by a competitive game issue. Games like Smash have an enormous casual fan base, but most indie fighting games, or even the fighting game genre in general, gets pigeonholed into the only people that play this are hyper-competitive, and I don't want to deal with that. It's not actually true, but look at any Plat Fighter announcement that has a wave dashing in it, and you'll find that same sentiment in the comment section. A good marketing campaign could help alleviate this. Promos that highlight both the competitive scene as well as ads targeted to the broader audiences. Like, look at Brawlhalla's player base. It's enormous. And then think about how few of them have ever even touched rank mode. One of the other big deals with this is that because there'll be a publisher with dedicated marketing and outreach folks, that means that we have that key to get large streamers and YouTubers to check it out and promote the game. And that's probably why I'm over the moon about this right now, because I feel like I've buried the lead a bit here. Off-Brand Games is the new publishing arm of Off-Brand Studios. And Off-Brand Studios is the influencer, event, and production company that was founded by Ludwig, Nick Allen, and Stans. And now, Pirate Software is going to be their director of strategy. Pirate Software, or Thor, is also a huge creator who is also a game dev, and he used to work at Blizzard, among a ton of other companies. These are all huge, huge names that'll bring in a ton of casual audience attention. And honestly, Ludwig is probably the biggest supporter of platform fighters in the world right now. I mean, Lud has done the LACS series with massive prize pools. He ran The Match, he ran Scuffed World Tour, he included Melee and chess boxing. I could just ramble on and on about the man's contribution to Melee for hours. But yeah, having someone who genuinely loves platform fighters and truly believes in the game, helming the publisher, makes me so damn excited. In fact, Off-Brand Studios, the event/production arm, not the game publisher arm, ran every single one of those events. Even outside of esports, Off-Brand is probably responsible for one of your favorite content creator events.
About a year ago, I made a company called Off-Brand. And I made it with the goal of basically making events that I think are cool and also dope for myself. And when I retire, making events that are cool and also dope for other creators. And so far, that's worked great. A few months ago, we made the Dodgeball event, which was massive. And then a week ago, I made Fast 50, which was a speedrunning event that raised over $250,000. But we don't just do events for me. We've done a couple events for other creators, like the Doug Shuffle-thon. And we made a huge event, or worked with Cutie to make a huge event, the Streamer Awards 2024.
Their stuff gets millions of views. Also, by the way, like half of Off-Brand was originally BTS staff when that was still around. The team that used to run Smash Summit. And these people will now be running events for Rivals.
One thing that really excites us about partnering with Off-Brand is we always wanted those like invitational events that we would watch. Like as a fan of other games, I would watch people, come to the house, and it's the best players. As an indie team working in my apartment, can't really afford something like that.
And this has the chance to bring so many people into the game. Literally during their We Exist announcement, the Off-Brand team hinted at events that might be doing things like highlighting the best players in the world, casual creator events. My vote is for a Sajam Tekken Slam style thing, and Summit style invite-only tournaments. All stuff I've dreamed of for Rivals, but no one really had the ability to do it until now.
The dream is we make a lot of kick-ass events with Rivals 2, showcasing the best players in the world, or the worst players in the world who people like watching.
And the final thing that gives me some hope is that as of this week, all of Off-Brand is now officially a workers-owned co-op. Ludwig and the other founders gave up their ownership of the studio to the team that works there. Every single worker gets an equal vote on what they want to do and what they want to work on. This is everything from the type of events they make to which games they publish, what teams they work with. If their team wants to do something, it means that everyone wants to do it, not just like one or two people at the top. So not only is Lud all in on Rivals, but so is the entire off-brand team. It also means that those publisher nightmares we talked about earlier are way less likely, because you can't have the C-suite sell the company overnight to turn a quick profit. The entire workforce having a say means they're incentivized to build something that'll last, and the company culture will truly matter. It's not about pulling the rug out from under everyone to maximize shareholder investments and then leaving. We shouldn't get this game was super successful, but it didn't profit quite as much as we wanted, so just torch the entire company type bullshit. But yeah, that's the wild update. Ludwig and company are publishing Rivals 2 now, and that means the game has an even bigger chance of blowing up when it comes out. It means that Aether Studios has stable backing. It means that they can devote more funding and attention to all of their dreams and goals for the game. And it means that we'll be getting really, really sick events. And it probably means a whole lot more to the off-brand team than anyone else right now, because it's a worker co-op. And all of that together makes me incredibly excited for the future. Go wishlist Rivals 2 on Steam.